I've been scrolling videos and pictures on my mom's phone and watching it over and over again. Her dancing when she's excited. It was so nice. I just miss her so much.
Right now on Fox Weather, heartbreaking and unimaginable tragedy in Texas as the death toll now continues to rise from devastating flooding over the weekend. More than 90 people are dead, and that does include children from an all-girls camp right along the banks of the Guadalupe River. They were sleeping in their cabins when it became overwhelmed with all of that water. We're live on the ground as search and rescue continues across the area. The river, it rose over 20 feet in just 3 hours, producing a deadly flood wave. And today, those same communities in Texas are bracing for more rain, heavy rain at that will worsen an already difficult situation. We have an upgraded level 3 out of 4 flash flood risk as more rain is ready to fall into the overly saturated soils. In another top weather story, Tropical Storm Chantal, it slammed into the South Carolina coast, leaving parts of the Carolinas underwater today. The remnants of the now post-tropical storm are charging north and taking aim at major cities along the East Coast. That's all right now on Fox Weather Now. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for watching Fox Weather. Right now it is 3 o'clock in the east, it's noon in the west. I'm Kiana Lewis, and this is Fox Weather Now. Two of our main weather stories today, topping the headlines here, the deadly flooding throughout parts of Texas as that story continues with more heavy rain on the way for the region. We take you across the East Coast where we had the remnants of Chantal now moving up the coastline parallel to the I-95 corridor. Some big cities could experience some drenching rain as well. We do want to start you off with the scenes of that devastation that's stretching across South and Central Texas. That's where the deadly flooding left behind throughout this weekend is still ongoing. Here's what we know right now. A new update, at least 93 people across 6 counties in Texas have been killed in the flooding, and that does include several girls from a summer camp in Kerr County. And more than 24 people, well, they are still unaccounted for at this hour. The death toll is expected to rise, as search efforts continue through this afternoon. In Texas, it's getting more rain as we speak. Fox Weather meteorologist Haley Meyer joins us now from Kerrville, Texas. Haley, this has been an ongoing situation. How do things look there on the ground through this afternoon?
Well, Kiana, it's really hard to put into perspective some of the flooding and how significant it was and how high that water rose. Right now, we're sitting right on the edge here. It's a pretty steep hill, and there's a little bit of damage kind of down this hill. A lot of this are big trees. Now, being from Texas, we see a lot of oak trees in this general area, and they're massive. And then knowing that the scope of the water was able to knock hundreds, if not thousands of these trees down does explain just how ferocious the waters were. They did rise 26 feet in about 45 minutes to an hour time overnight, around 4 or 5 o'clock into the morning here in the hill country of Texas. Kerrville, unfortunately, took on the worst of it. But you can see the Guadalupe River. It's somewhat calm for now, still a little bit swollen compared to what it would normally be looking at. Now, this side of the riverbank is seeing the worst of the damage. Now, back onto this end, seems as though the water didn't rise necessarily quite as high. So some of the homes and businesses were spared. But when you think about it, there's the river now, and then I'll show you quickly where the flood line is for this particular business. This is an auto repair shop. They said most of their stuff is fine, but they did have some motors, and that was their biggest concern there. I'm going to move through some of this material here. Hopefully we can get a little zoom in on this. But anyway, the water line, and I can even use my legs as a perspective, right about here. So it goes right up into my knee, and I'll walk a little bit closer to the camera so you guys can see it. When I say water line, it's right around into this general area throughout this entire shop. So right here onto my knee. And so you think about, okay, you've got about 1 foot to 1.5 foot worth of floodwaters able to make it into this general area. Now, the other side of this as well, we were talking to the shop owner, and he said, hey, the hill country of Texas actually was undergoing a lot of drought. And I can speak to that. I was in Texas in April for Easter celebrating with my family, and Lake Travis, Lake Austin was so bare. I've never seen it that low. So maybe the drought in the region could have helped out a little bit in terms of the water rise for some of these communities. But to say this is catastrophic is an understatement. This is something that hopefully happens once in a lifetime and will never happen again. The local officials are doing everything they can to help the cleanup efforts move quickly. President Trump is going to be coming into the area in a few days to help survey. We've seen military vehicles flying overhead. Search and rescue efforts are still underway. The hope is we'll still be able to find some of those missing people alive, but unfortunately, each and every hour that death count rises, Kiana, and that's the most concerning for me as a local Texan, and just from hearing some of the statistics out of this really horrific flash flood event across the Hill Country.
And Haley, really quickly, because you mentioned that you are a native Texan, specifically to this area, when you got there, when you stepped off of the plane, when you got to your location, how unrecognizable was this for you? Because I know if I were to go back to my hometown and it looked like this, that's earth-shattering.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Austin, Texas, which is about an hour and a half north of this area. I'd come down here a lot, though, with friends, family. I mean, this is the place that you vacation. It's the best spot in Texas, which unfortunately is why we had so many youth camps in this area. Some of the residents here estimate anywhere from 50 to close to 100 in the Hill Country region. The one thing here is the Guadalupe River is massive, but we do have a lot of larger trees, so it largely covers areas right along the river. So some of that damage initially is hidden, but once you get close to that river, where I have some of my best childhood memories, you then see the scope of the damage and all of the different knickknacks and pieces of furniture, people's homes. You can see stuffed animals, which could be from some of these local camps, and it's that human element that really hits hard in this time.
Absolutely. Listen, we're going to keep a close eye on things, all of the progress that's still to come in the days ahead with the flooding there. That's Fox Weather multimedia meteorologist and multimedia reporter there, Haley Meyer. Thanks again for that update. Now, the flash flood threat for Texas is not over just yet, and as more rain is set to sweep across the Lone Star State, we take a look at some of the images that we're getting in here. Kerrville, Texas, another image of the Guadalupe River, where you could just see it sits at the base of those trees. So we're still dealing with ongoing flooding at this moment in time, and we are getting in on more rain, unfortunately, across the same region. So looking at Texas, Central Texas, pushing into Southern Texas, we have a flood watch in place. This goes through the latter half of today. We have been seeing a couple of pockets of heavier rain, but with the current flooding ongoing and the rain still to come, National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center here, the Weather Prediction Center, all coming together to increase our risk for seeing more excessive rainfall that could lead to more flooding. So here's where we are right now. We stand at that 3 out of 4 threat for excessive rainfall. Some of the same communities, some of the same counties under that threat today, as there's still this influx of moisture coming in from off of the Gulf that's adding to if you will, fuel to the fire for some of these storms. You have the thunderstorms still firing off. They're not moving much, kind of staying stationary right into that pocket of West Texas. And it's pushing into an area that is vulnerable. This is now north of where we have Haley Meyer out of Kerrville, but we still have a lot of rain around the area, and all of it has to trickle somewhere. And once this rain enters into these bodies of water here, these lakes and these rivers and these streams, they head downward. And unfortunately, that is where the most vulnerable communities are in terms of the flooding. Looking at how much rain we've seen so far, we have anywhere between 2.5 to 3 inches of rain, even a little bit more than 3 inches of rain that has fallen so far, courtesy of the radar. So we're now sitting at another risk of heavy rain pushing through. Rain's still supposed to continue at least through the latter half of today. That will add insult to injury in a lot of these areas. Colorado River at Lake Travis, this is in Texas here, we're still sitting at a really high rate. This is north of San Antonio. But all of our rivers are at that either action to minor stage for seeing some flooding today. So going through today, especially through tonight, as we continue with the opportunities for showers and storms, we really have to continue to watch how this may impact a bigger body of water like the Guadalupe River heading into the